Okay, we are on Hey on the base. Go to the page. So Hey on the base. Okay. Okay, so let's review. We had a machlokes between Rav Masna and Bar Poda. The question is, what is the source of the idea that either an unspecified or a minimum Nazirus is 30 days? According to Bar Poda, it's actually 29 days. And the reason why it's 29 days is because the word Nazir, Nizrai, Neder, or Nidrai is printed 29 times in the Parsha of Nazirus. According to Rav Morning, just reviewing.
Greetings.
According to Rav Masna, the source of the concept that the minimum or unspecified Nazirus is 30 days is from the fact that the Torah says Kadosh Yihya, and Yihya is the numerical equivalent of 30, the gematria of 30. We pointed out very interesting thing. According to Bar Poda, the Nazirus is actually 29 days plus a little bit. Why is it plus a little bit? Because you can't, obviously, you're not going to bring the sacrifices first thing in the day. First of all, because it's not possible. You have to wait until the Tam Shel Shachar is brought. Take some time. And second of all, because presumably it's not going to be. So according to our Paddan, is a 30-day Nazirus is actually 29 plus a little bit. So Nazirus is really 29. You have to add a little bit because you have to bring the karbanos, the sacrifices. You have to shave your hair. That whole process, that's going to happen on the sometime on the 30th day, and the first half of that day is also part of the Nazirus. According to Rav Masna, Nazirus actually is 30 days. However, he holds of this idea throughout Shas, throughout Talmud, that miktas hayom kekulai. That means that a partial day is considered as if you fulfill the full obligations. So for example, if unfortunately somebody has the displeasure of having to sit shiva for a relative, sometime during the seventh day, we say you've finished 7 days. Because it's during the seventh day, we say miktas hayom kekulai. Half the seventh day, it's already called 7 days of shiva. And we find this in many other instances as well. And therefore, Rav Masna actually also holds as 29 plus, but because he holds 29 plus equals 30. Because that plus, that little bit of the day, that suffices for the 30th day. Okay, a little bit of a complicated Gemara. I for some reason decided to learn Taisvis. It's a little difficult. I'm not very satisfied with the way Taisvis learns the Gemara, but be that as it may, that's what we were doing. So
What page, Rabbi?
Hey and Bays, we're 3 lines at the bottom of the page.
3 lines. And hey, did you say?
Yep.
Okay.
5b.
Okay.
Okay. Tanan. So now, and basically the Gemara for the rest of the day is trying to prove or disprove any one of these opinions. Is Nazirus really 29 days or is it really 30 days? So let's examine this one. Tanan, we learned. Misha Nazir Beis Nazirus. A guy says, I'm becoming a Nazir and then I'm becoming a Nazir again. So he's running 2 Nazirus, one after another. What does he do? Nazirus 1. Megalech Esarishayna. He shaves his head. He brings the sacrifices on Yom Lamed Ve'echad on day 31. Okay, so day 31 serves as the conclusion of the first Nazirus. And also, presumably, he finishes shaving his head and bringing the sacrifices before nightfall, which means that his second Nazirus actually also begins on day 31. So day 31 is also day number 1. And so therefore, the second Nazirus, the Hashniya, is L'yom Shishim Ve'echad. It's on day 61. Because 61 is really 30 days, plus it's the 31st day of the first Nazirus. And that's because the beginning of this Nazirus happens on day number 31. So the Gemara says, according to Rav Masna's opinion, that a Nazirus is really 30 days. That means the day you're supposed to shave your hair and bring the sacrifices is day 31. So this makes a lot of sense. It's day number 31, and it concludes in day 61. Ela Bar Poda Kasha. According to Bar Poda, why are you waiting until day 31? Hold on a second. Okay, hold on. Okay, now, the problem is that the Gemara really addressed this question. This is Taisvis' problem. And that's why Taisvis has 2 versions of this Gemara. No, hold on 1 second. I just read the wrong version. Hold on. Give me a second here. No, this is one. Okay, yeah. So, okay, according to Tosfos, this is an identical question that the Gemara asked previously. The Gemara says, yesterday we saw a Gemara that says that Naziris, you shave your head on day 31. Question according to our pod is why? Why is it not on day 30? The answer is because let's say a guy says, Shleimim, I want to be a complete Nazir. I want to be a Nazir and the days should be complete days. So then it's 21 plus and that last day has to be complete. So that Naziris is really 31 days. Because that's a possibility, the rabbi said every Naziris of 30 days, which is really 29 plus, is going to be a full 30 days, and you really should shave your head and bring the sacrifices on day number 31. This question is really an identical question. But the Gemara is going to bring out a different angle of Barpada, and that's why the Gemara asked the question. In other words, why are you doing it day 31? Well, we know why you're doing it day 31. Because rabbinically, you have to do it day 31. Be that as it may. Amar Lach Barpada would say, the truth is it's the same answer as previously. Ema Seifa. Look at the end of the brisa. Let's say you shaved your head on day number 30, so you fulfilled your obligation because according to our Pada, Naziris is really 29 plus. So therefore, if that's the case, then you shave your head lechatchila on day number 60. Why is that? That's because day number 30 in this case counts as day number 1 as well. So the chiddush of our Pada here is that day 29 counts, it's 29 plus the beginning of the next count. Hold on. The first part, the Sefer supports the opinion of our Pada. However, the first part, the ratio that says you have to do the 61 days, 31 and 61, that's because he said the word shleimim. Or rabbinically, because we presume that we treat it the same as if he said shleimim, complete. And you say complete, that's 29 plus, turns into a full 30 days. So the Gemara says, okay, fine. So we have resolved Bar Pada. Rav Masna Kasha Seifa, according to Rav Masna, the end of the brisa is difficult. Why do you fulfill your obligation by shaving your head and bringing the sacrifices at day number 30? According to Rav Masna, you should have to do it at day number 31 because he says Nazir is 30 days. Now, the truth of the matter is, it's exactly the same question the Gemara asked yesterday, right? In the previous Amud. And the answer, according to Rav Masna, was mix the same kikulei, right? In other words, 30 could be fulfilled by 29 plus, at least by the Evid. So Rav Masna says the idea here is that the 30th day, in other words, the 30th day can be counted as both the conclusion of the first Naziris and the beginning of the second Naziris. Mahi, why is this? Because mitzvah kikulei, because partial day is considered a full day. Like ha'amar chadazimna, we already know that from the brisa that we saw yesterday. So the Gemara says, and this is a chiddush here in Rav Masna, it's also a chiddush in Bar Pada. In Rav Masna, the chiddush is as follows: not only do you say mitzvah kikulei, but actually we cut what do you call it? You burn the wick from both ends, right? Yeah. Because what you're saying is that this partial day is actually part of Naziris 1, and it's also part of Naziris 2. So you're taking one day and you're saying it's counting for two different Naziris, and that's a chiddush. And that we don't know from the first Gemara. The first Gemara only says that this half a day concludes the Naziris. Okay, fine. So we know that a partial day is called a Naziris, but not that two partial days are actually counted as two separate days of Naziris. In Bar Pada, it's the same idea, but it's just said differently. Bar Pada doesn't hold to the idea of mitzvah kikulei. He holds that a partial day is not valid. Rather, he holds that it's 29 plus. But Bar Pada holds that, let's say a guy says, I'm a Nazir for 30 days. Okay, and it's getting close to sunset. When does his first day start? After sunset. That's the conclusion of his first day. So Bar Pada agrees that when you initiate Naziris, you always have that benefit of a partial day. In other words, it's not partial. That is a complete day. Because you began late in the afternoon, so that you complete it late in the afternoon. So according to Bar Pada here, that's what's going on. As soon as the guy's head is completely shaved, then immediately he begins the next cycle, as if he accepted Naziris with a partial day, not because mitzvah is kikulei, because a partial day is like a full day, but that when you begin Naziris, that first day is never going to be a whole day. And that would be the chiddush in Bar Poda. So not only according to Bar Poda could you do the Nazir if you slaughter your animals on day number 30 that you fulfill the Naziris, because Nazir is really 29 plus. It also works for beginning the next day, which is going to be a partial day, but that's not a problem because the first day of Naziris is always a partial day in effect. Okay, next Gemara. Next attempt. Is there three more? So next one of three. It's a total of 5.
Okay,
Really?
Aval.
They really nitpick.
What was that?
They really nitpick.
Yeah. The problem is that a lot of these questions are very similar, and that's why you have these large taisus in trying to figure out what exactly is the difference. Okay, like for example, today and yesterday, I just told you about the Taisus's version of the Gemara. There are other versions. Taisus himself brings a second version of the Gemara, and you might understand why, because according to Taisus's version, you have to posit all these derabbanans and all these theories of what exactly the chiddush is, the new idea. That's why it's a little bit tenuous over there, but okay. Tnan, im gilach yom shishim chosar achad yotza. If he shaves his head on the 59th day, he fulfills his obligation. Sheyom shloishim oil lo min haminyan. 1 second. Okay. In other words, so if he shaves his head on day 59, right? I'm sorry. If he shaves his head on day 30, and then he instead of shaving his head on day 60, he shaves his head on day 59. So then it works. That fulfills his obligation. 1 second. Okay. So according to Rav Masna, this makes sense because mitzvim kikulei. And the day 30 counted for both sides. According to Rav, what's the new idea here? He already said this many times. He said that day 30 counts for both ends. He told us that you can actually shave your head on day 30. So why is the brisa repeating itself? Obviously, you can shave your head on day 59. Rav says you're right. The fact that the brisa needs to repeat itself is exactly my source for claiming that Naziris is really only 29 days. Because the brisa repeats itself. In other words, don't make them if it wouldn't repeat itself, I could make the mistake of Arpoda. This is why the brisa repeats itself. Don't make the mistake of Rav Masna that Naziris is 30 days. Rather, Naziris is 29 days. Plus a little bit. Okay, Tanan. Mish Amar Hareini Nazir. Somebody says I'm a Nazir. Nitma Yom Shloshim Seiser Asakol. Okay, this is a two-part complicated question. This is the first part of the question. Somebody says I'm a Nazir. Nitma Yom Shloshim. If it becomes Tameh on the 30th day, Seiser Asakol, he needs to restart the whole thing. Okay, Bishleim Rav Masna, according to Rav Masna. Now, remember, the 30th day, he's already eligible to bring the sacrifices. Because according to Rav Pada, Naziris is 29 plus, and according to Rav Masna, because Mitzvah is Kikulei. Now, according to Rav Masna, this price is easy. Why? Even though Rav Masna says Mitzvah and Kikulei, meaning that you're eligible to bring the sacrifices on day number 30, but you'll only finish your obligations of Nazir once you bring those sacrifices. Before you bring the sacrifices, you're still obligated with the original obligation, meaning a Nazir is still not allowed to drink wine, still can't become tamei, and still can't shave his hair. Now, if you shave your hair or drink wine, then you break the obligation of Naziris, and you get a penalty. In the case of drinking wine, you just get a penalty. In the case of cutting your hair, you have to wait at least 30 days before you cut your hair again, because you can't fulfill the positive obligation to shave your head unless your hair is at least 30 days old. But if you become tamei, the worst thing happens that besides for getting malchus, like you get into the other ones, you also have to restart the Naziris. You have to count again. So I understand why you need to count again. That's because even though Mitzvah Kikulei, a partial day is considered a full day, allows you to bring the sacrifices early, but it does not allow you to become tamei early. So therefore, if the guy becomes tamei the 30th day, he loses all 30 days. Seiser Asakol.
Doesn't matter what part of the day he becomes tamei.
No, it does. Did he become tamei before the sacrifices or after? In other words, on the 30th day, you have to keep all the restrictions,
Okay.
except that if you bring except that you could bring the sacrifices. And if you did, then you end it. And that's because Mitzvah Yom Kippur allows you to end it early.
So then if he was exposed to a mace, then it would,
So if he brought the
after the
right,
sacrifice.
then that's fine.
For the sacrifice.
That would be prohibited, even though Mitzvah Yom Kippur, even though a partial day is considered a full day. So, okay, according to Rav Masna, this makes sense. Why you'd lose all 30 days. Bar Pada, according to Bar Pada, you already concluded the Nazirus. You finished it already. It's a kasha. It's difficult. Okay. This is a complicated one. Okay. I may lose myself over here, but let me try to hopefully I'll get this straight. Amrullah Bar Pada's response is as follows, very brief. Ema Seifa, look at the end of the brisa. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Eine Seiser Elo Shiva. One second. Rabbi Eliezer says you only lose 7 days. Hold on. Okay, so our brother's response is as follows. Rabbi Eliezer says you only lose 7 days. Now, it would, according to Taisus here, the version of the Gemara is as follows. It wouldn't make sense that Rabbi Eliezer and the rabbis are disagreeing with how long the Nazir is. Doesn't seem like it at all. Presumably, they both agree that Nazir is either 29 plus or 30 days. That's the presumption. The fact that Rabbi Eliezer is lenient and says only 7 days implies to me that there's no debate here about the length of Nazirus. Everybody agrees Nazirus is 29 plus. And therefore, this guy who became Tummy on the 30th day, he's already concluded his Nazirus. So what's the debate now? 1 second. Okay. So as follows. As just as we said in the past, that Bar Pada has this gzera. What's the gzera? The rabbinical enactment. The gzera is that we're concerned somebody, well, although a typical Nazirus is 29 plus, we're concerned people might get confused that when a guy says a full 30 days, a full Nazirus, which would be full 30 days. And because of that, just like we said, you can't bring your sacrifices until day 30, 31, even though technically you should be able to bring them in day 30, because of this concern, the rabbis also enacted that because of the same concern, if you become tummy on day 30, you lose the whole thing. And Rabbi Eliezer says, no, you only lose 7 days. 1 second. Okay. Okay, now, fine. Now we have another question. Look, Bar Pada's argument that there's no difference between Reb Eliezer and the Rabbanon in terms of the length of the Nazirus is pretty logical. You'd think that if their debate was how long Nazirus is, that they would actually argue in a scenario of how long Nazirus is, instead of arguing in a scenario of what happens when you become tummy on the 30th day. So, according to Rav Masna now, what's the explanation of Reb Eliezer? According to Rabbi Eliezer, why is it that you only lose 7 days? If Nazirus is a full 30 days, and we're saying that Miksayim Kikuloi does not extricate you from the laws of Nazirus up until the moment you bring your sacrifices. So therefore, according to Rabbi Eliezer, you should lose all 30 days. Why do you only lose 7 days? Eric, did I lose you?
No, I had the same question.
Amazing. This is the Gemara's question. But well, this is interesting also because if you technically, when you'd read the Gemara, this would not seem like the Gemara's question, but this is how Taisus is deciding how to read the terminology of the Gemara. Am I deferring radically from the art school here or not?
Oh,
No. It's fine. I don't care. I don't care anyone.
No.
Because the arts typically goes with the rush and not with Taisus. And I try to go Taisvis, although I'm much freer to go with the rush, certainly. Okay. Anyway, it's fine. We'll take a look later. Take a look later. Isa. Okay. So Isa Gadai Shloishim Beina Nistar Kulu. So the Gemara is now asking according to Rav Masna, if a Naziris is a full 30 days, so then what's the explanation of Rabbi Eliezer? Why does Rabbi Eliezer say you only lose 7 days? You should lose a full 30 days. So the Gemara says, Kasav Rabbi Eliezer Mitzvim Kikule. Rabbi Eliezer says not Mitzvim Kikule is not just that you can bring the sacrifices early, but actually that the Naziris ends early. So according to the rabbi's position, Mitzvim Kikule only says you can bring your sacrifices on day 30, but that your Naziris is in effect until you bring those sacrifices. Whereas according to Rabbi Eliezer, not only can you shave your head and bring sacrifices early, but you actually do not have the restrictions of Nazir at once you've begun the 30th day. Okay. Next point. This is the same Gemara, but a different angle to it. Tanan, Hareini Nazir Mea Yom. The guy says I'm a Nazir for 100 days. Nitma Yom Mea, he becomes Tamei on the 100th day. Saiser as I call, he loses all 100 days. Rabbi Eliezer Eimer, ain't a Saiser el Shloshim Yom. You only lose 30 days. Okay, 1 second here. Okay, 2 questions. Okay. The Isaka Daitach, Sava Rabbi Eliezer, Mixes Yom Kikulai, Nister Shiva. First question. According to Rabbi Eliezer, if Rabbi Eliezer holds Mixes Yom Kikulai ends Naziris early, in other words, the opinion of Rav Masna, Naziris is really 30 days. And according to Rabbi Eliezer, not only can you bring the sacrifices early on the 30th day, but you also end the Naziris early. If that's the case, then why does Rabbi Eliezer say you lose 30 days? You should lose 7 days. That's the question of Rav Masna. And according to Bar Pada, the same question is true as well. If we don't hold to the idea of Mitzvim Kikulai, according like Bar Pada's opinion, Lister Kulu, you should lose all 100 days. Okay. 1 second. Why should you lose all 100 days? Hold on a second. According to Bar Pada. One second. Okay. In other words, presumably at this point, just like the rabbi said that because of this problem of shleimim, right? In other words, that we're always concerned, you always have to keep the full day because maybe he said shleimim, full days. So therefore, you should also lose all 100 days. 1 second. 1 second. Hold on. One second. Hold on here. Oh boy. Okay, so Taisus is really stretching himself here. Okay. So according to Taisus is as follows. According to the as follows. According to Bar Pada, hold on 1 second. You know, we'll get to the we'll get to it in a moment. We'll address it in a moment. Okay. You know, we'll go with first with Taisus's pushovers. All right, so hold on. Anyway, according to again, so if you hold like Rav Masno, the Isaka died. 1 second. Let's go. Okay, the Isaka died a Savar Rabbi Eliezer Mitzvah Kulai. According to Rav Masna, the Rabbi Eliezer holds Mitzvah Kulai Nister Shiva. So it should be just like the first case. It should only lose 7 days. And that would be that even according to Rav Masna, that would be rabbinical. The Eloi Savar Mitzvah Kulai, but if he does not hold the Mitzvah Kulai like Barpodos, Lister Kulus, he should lose all 100 days. Okay, so the Gemara says as follows: The truth of the matter is we don't say Mitzvah Kulai. Okay, Ihachi Lister Kulu. If that's the case, he should lose all 100 days. In other words, why do you only lose 30 days? Okay, so according to Rabbi Eliezer, is a unique category. I'll go over the conclusion of Taisus. So as follows: there's a difference here, according to Rabbi Eliezer, between a stam nazirus and a nazirus of a specified amount. In a stam nazirus, according to Rabbi Eliezer, according to Bar Poda's opinion, it's 29 plus. In other words, an unspecified nazirus is 29 plus. You break it on day 30, you get 7-day rabbinical penalty. However, if you specify your nazirus, so then it's a different category. Then you have to keep there's a new set of laws the Torah gives, which is that if you break the last day, then you need to start over an unspecified nazirus, which is 30 days. And that's the explanation of Rabbi Eliezer. Now, again, so according to Bar Poda, this was not. Bar Poda only says that a regular nazirus is 29 plus. 100-day nazirus, according to Bar Poda, is 100 days, which means if you become tummy on day 100, then obviously you should destroy the whole thing, except for the fact that there's new set of laws, according to Rabbi Eliezer. The Torah says when you specify the nazirus and you ruin it, it's a 30-day nazirus, which means if a guy says I'm an unspecified, a guy says I'm a nazir without specifying, comes day 30 becomes tummy. What's the law according to Rabbi Eliezer? He loses 7 days. 7 days. Let's say the guy says, I'm a nazir for 30 days. So now he's a specified nazir and it becomes Tamei day 30. What happens? He has to do another 30 days. Then the same would be true if he made himself a nazir for 35 days. He would do another 30 days.
Oh, not another 35 days.
Yeah, it's just 30 days. So when you break the last day of Nazir, the Yom Melois, the day of conclusion, you lose 30 days. And that's the explanation according to Bar Poda.
It feels a little like one of those, fast loan outfits out in the city part of town. You miss a payment or something, all of a sudden the interest gets slapped on before you know it, you'll never get out from under it.
Yeah. Okay. 1 second.
You should go to the Nazir loan business or something.
The Torah says if you become tamei on the day of if you become tamei on the day that you finish in Nazirus, you have to do another 30 days. And this is the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Okay. 1 second.
I thought he was the one who did 7 days.
Except on a specified Nazir.
Except that, you said it was.
Right, because this was a scenario of a specified Nazir, 100-day Nazir. Okay, hold on. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. Now, what's interesting here is that the Gemara does not resolve the question according to Rav Masna. According to Rav Masna, that says Mitzvah Kikulai, the question remains standing. Why, according to Rabbi Eliezer, would you lose 30 days? You should only lose 7 days because of a rabbinical penalty when you break the last day. Because according to Rabbi Eliezer, biblically you're allowed to break the last day. So why do you lose a full 30 days?
Why? That's the question on everybody's lips right now.
So the Gemara doesn't resolve the question. Taisus gives his own resolution, which is sort of a combination of Rish Lakish with something else. He says that according to Rav Masna, you'd have to say that this 100-day Nazirus is a scenario where he said Shleiman, full days. And he goes with Rish Lakish that says, even though technically speaking, if it was a stam Naziris, you break the last day, you lose everything, right? But if you said shleimin. But where you specify the Naziris and you're at the last day, you have this din of Rish Lakish, this law of Rish Lakish, that you break the last day of Naziris, even when you said a full 100 days, you still only lose 30 days. That would be similar to Bar Pada. Okay. Let's continue. It gets a tad easier from here. Okay.
Oy.
Vesuvius as opposed to Mount Everest.
Let's say this is a machlokes between another two sets of Tanam. Again, so what's the original machlokes? Bar Pada says 29 times the Torah uses the word Nazir, Nizra, Neder, Nidra. And Rav Masna says the word Yia is gematria 30. Let's say it's the same as these two opinions. Ad Melois Hayamim. A Nazir keeps until the conclusion of his days. Shema'ani, I see from here, Miyat Yamim Shnayim. The minimum amount of time is 2 days. In other words, I would think the minimum Naziris could also be 2 days. Talmud Loimer, therefore the verse states, Kodesh Yiyah Gadol Pera. He has to grow his hair, he will be Kodesh. What does that mean? How long are you growing your hair for? Yiyah, 30 days. En Gidol Sar, Pachas Mishleishim Yen. The minimum amount of time it takes to grow your hair is 30 days, and that's also corroborated with Yiyah, 30 days. Divrei Rabbi Yasha. Rabbi Yasha is clearly with Rav Masna. No question about that. Rabbi Yonis says, Ain't it sarach? There's no need to go into gematrias. Harayu Omer ad melais hayom. The pasuk says until the completion of the days. What does this mean? Elohein yom shetzrichim lamalis. What would it mean? The days that you have to complete. Heavy Omer shloshim. 1 second. In other words, what's the typical amount of multiple days? It's 30 days, a month. Now, the problem is that a month there's 2 types of months. There's a chodesh chasar and a chodesh mole. A month sometimes is 29 days, sometimes 30 days. So presumably this second opinion, the opinion of Rabbi Yonis would say that Nazir is actually 29 days, like Bar Pada. My love, Rav Masna to Amar Rav Yasha. Rav Masna says like Rav Yasha that says Yeh. Bar Pada that says 29 times it says the word Nazir. To Amar Rav Yonis, and he says like Rav Yonis that says it's a month, which is often 29 days. Amar Rav Masna. Rav Masna's response is Kula Alma Shloshim Bina. Everybody says it's going to be 30 days. In other words, even the opinion of Rav Yonis. The debate here is when the Torah says a length of time, is that a complete amount of time or is that minus the last day? So the Torah says 30 days. Does the Torah actually mean a complete 30 days? So it's finished on day 31, or does the Torah mean to say ad v'lo ad b'chlal? Day 30 is not included. Day 30 is the end. You finished it at the conclusion of 29 days. So Rabbi Yasha says ad v'lo ad b'chlal. Rabbi Yasha says typically it would not include the last day. So therefore, if I learned from 1 second, if I learned from the fact that it concludes on the 30th day, I would say the 30th day is the last day. It ends on the 29th day. So, but the problem is because a month is sometimes 30, sometimes 29, what actually means that according to his opinion would be the 28th day. So that's what Rabbi Yasha says. He'll learn it out of Yiyah, where Yiyah says it's got to be 30 days. Rabbi Yonis and Savar ad va'ad b'chlal. Rabbi Yonis says if you compare it to a month, it includes the final day, which is why he holds that it would include the final day, presumably the 30th day as well. 1 second. Yeah, and according to Bar Pada's opinion that Naziris is 29 days, indeed it would be machlekes. It would be machlekes Tanam. Okay, let's just finish the Mishnah. What was that?
You ended. This would be. What was the conclusion?
So the Gemara's conclusion is that according to Rav Masna, you'd have to say that Rav Yasha prefers learning out of a pasuk of Yiyah, because had he learned it out of the conclusion, he would say it's actually a day earlier. So therefore, Yiyah tells me what it is, not when it ends. Because if I know when it ends, I know when it ends the day after it actually ends. So therefore, I tell you how long it is. It means 30 days. It's 30 days long. Whereas according to Rav Yonason, I would include the last day and include the day that it ends. So the Torah says it ends on 30 days, a month. So I'd include the month. So it's a full 30 days. It's complete 30 days.
They should just use the calendar, depending when you decide to become a Nazir.
Where's the fun in that?
29-day month coming or 30-day month coming or.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a good question. But in general, towards the Gemara seems to imply that it's not going to be a calendar month. It will always be a fixed period.
Month, fixed period, right.
That's a good question. Well, the only one who would even argue for it would potentially be Rav Yonasan, because everybody else's explanations are not dependent on the day of the month.
The day of the month, yeah.
There's actually no reference to a month. It
Yeah.
happens to be 30 days a month, but
30
the
days.
reference isn't even a month.
Right.
According to Rabbi Yonasan, that would be a good question. Perhaps according to Rabbi Yonasan, it should really be, maybe it is that way. Maybe according to Rabbi Yonasan, it would be a calendar month. Maybe some months would be 29, some months would be 30. Could be.
Right.
So that's the opinion of Ramas. According to Rapada, it's indeed a machlekes tanam. Rapada says it's 29 according to Rav Yonasan, and it would be 30 according to Rav Yashia, and he disagrees with Rav Yashia. Okay. Amar Mar. Eluhain yom shtzrichim lamalis have yom shloshim. What's a large number of days? It's 30 days. The aim of Shabbos, maybe it's a week. Shabbos miyike chasirusa. In other words, we talk about lamalis to fill, meaning that sometimes it's empty, sometimes it's full. Right? Meaning like a full month.
Right.
A month sometimes is missing a day, sometimes it's a full month.
Right.
So that makes sense. But Shabbos is always 7 days. So it can't be a day that's full, which is 30 days. Because Shabbos is which is 7 days, because Shabbos is always full. You don't use the word full if it's always 7 days.
Right.
But with a month, you'd use the word full to indicate full 30 days. The aim of Shana, maybe it's a year. So the Gemara says, Mimanina liyomi. You don't count a year by days, you count a year by months. The Kisri Amrin, because the rabbis of Caesarea say, Minayin she'ein meinin yomim l'shanim. How do we know that we don't count days to a year? Shenemar l'chodshi hashana. Chadoshim chashon l'shanim v'lo yom l'shanim. We count months to a year and not days to a year. And therefore, presumably, the number we're referring to here is a month, a unit of a month, and not a year. Okay.